everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are in our faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are in our faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe.
Welcome to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm ReneMarie, and this is really an awesome show. We're thanking so much to Judy, who couldn't be with us tonight. She's actually living her life. We keep her so busy that she feels so bad. She's like, oh my God, I can't be on the show. I'm like, Judy, relax. You know, you do such an incredible job. So without Judy, Marlo this show would not be able to broadcast. It would not be able to broadcast for 7 years. I see Jim going like this in the back office, in the back studio, broadcasting from Long Island. And it is so true that without Judy, this show would not be able to broadcast. So thank you so much, Judy. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. Um, this is all the shows are wonderful, but sometimes there's a moment in time that you have to capture, and we really want to extend our gratitude and our condolences, or I don't think condolences is the right word. It's a new journey for Bruce Willis. His family has broadcast that he suffers from aphasia. It hasn't been released how he got aphasia or why he got aphasia, but just the word aphasia, most people never heard of that word until it was broadcast by Bruce Willis's family. The Adler's Aphasia Center in Maywood, New Jersey, and around the world does a tremendous job in information and really bringing to light the word aphasia. Back when I had my stroke in 1989, I never knew that I suffered from aphasia. And we're going to talk about it with our panel today, a little bit about that. We were talking in the Zoom green room about it. But I just want to bring to light how important it is to know what aphasia is, because people suffer from a brain trauma, they suffer from stroke, and you really don't know what's going on inside that brain. And I recovered from I began a new journey after my stroke. My right side is a little bit weak. That never held me back. But just the fact that my brain suffered from aphasia, even though I learned how to speak again, my mind was still a little bit combobulated, where I couldn't focus on things, and I was too emotional about things, and my emotions, my anxiety or nervousness wouldn't help in the situation. And we're going to talk about Dominic Cortellessa, it was his birthday this week. Thank you, Dom, for everything you've done for me to defragment my brain and really be able to utilize this platform, because I would get so nervous that I wouldn't be able to talk. Now I've learned how to have those tool belts in my belt and to use them and to not really show face. I mean, I think it's important for people to see and to realize that I've had this condition, but I've learned how to navigate through it. But to take me seriously, in what I'm trying to share with everybody, it's really important. It's a really important thing. So we're going to open up the panel. Jim, open up the panel for me. And I'm going to let them introduce them, but I'm going to let them chat a little bit. We're going to start to talk about the Bruce Willis. But it really is an important thing, and we want to give our gratitude to Bruce Willis for bringing to light the fact that he has aphasia, and how it affects people. When people would talk to me initially, and I really would draw a blank. I didn't know what they were saying to me. Sometimes it was the simplest thing, but I couldn't understand what they were saying to me. It wasn't getting in. It wasn't soaking in. So it was hard, because people would look at me and think, what is wrong with this woman? Like, what is wrong with her? And there was nothing wrong with me. I just had a stroke, and I suffered from aphasia a little, continuously. I've been recovering ever since. And it would make people not be able to talk to me. They would be like, what is wrong with her? And I got to say that Dominic taught me a ton of things in my life. But one of the things he taught to me was to say to people, Thank you very much. But let me get back to you on that. I'm not quite sure of the answer right now. And he gave me that tool that really is so important, that I'm able to share with people, like, and the truth is, I don't need to share with them why I couldn't come up with the answer, because that adds too much conversation, and it's important in this world, but in the business world, in life, sometimes I don't want to use my stroke and my aphasia as a crutch. I want to use it as something that empowers me to educate people. So it's a whole different world, and it's a new road. So Bruce Willis, we're here if you need us, and we're have you in our prayers, you and your family, because it does affect the whole family. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody. We're really pleasured. We have Yenal, we have Andrea, and we have Karen on the broadcast. And I'm gonna open it up, and you could share where you're from, from your community, and then we'll start to talk a little bit about aphasia, because we were talking in the Zoom green room. Can you start to share with us where you're from and
Sure.
And I've known you for years. I used to perform back in
we went to high school together.
Oh, wait! Before we start, I want to share with everybody the pioneer of this connection. I mean, Yenal and I knew each other many years ago because I used to perform at her community. But Senior Resource Group, Diane Bromberg is the connection, and she has such a vibrant, I think that's the word, a vibrant joy to educate and bring people together. And she's so happy about it. And she's so wonderful about it. And she's the one that, started this, when I started my journey 7 years ago on my foundation, everybody thought I was like crazy, and I wanted to do a telethon, and Dom didn't think I'm crazy, but everybody in New Jersey. So, Long Island opened up the door for me, and Long Island is such a wonderful, Long Island is a blessing to me. But Diane is really bringing New Jersey into the mix a little bit for me, and really helping me to navigate into New Jersey a little bit. So I want to thank Diane, and I'm sure everybody on this panel wants to thank Diane for the wonderful, wonderful work she does. And we're actually doing a night talent show on June 9th. It's going to be broadcast, so stay tuned as we share that. But it was important for me to say that, so I wanted to share. So go ahead, Yenal.
My name is Yenal Awari. I'm the Director of Marketing and Clinical Liaison for LakeLand Healthcare. We are a subacute and long-term care facility. And, usually right after a stroke and after the hospitalization, we are the type of facility you would come to get, the mobility back, depending on what side your stroke was. You want to start with the intensive rehab right away. You don't want to lose muscle tone. You don't want to lose anything. And the longer you wait to start the therapy part of it, the longer it's going to take you for the rehab portion of it, basically. Mm-hmm. So, but, the three of us work very closely together, and thank you for doing this.
Oh my God, thank you. And I will say that I love the fact that because of Diane, she has brought your network together, and really in other people would think you're competitors, but you're not competitors. You're really bringing the best to educate people what the best rehab or community is for them, because it could depend on location. That's really a big thing for people. Location is a big thing, because when someone is sick, you want to be able to keep going by them. My grandmother, when she was in Preakness healthcare, I was there every night. So, it was important for it to be only 10 minutes from my house. So thank you, Yenal, for joining us today. It's a blessing.
Thank you.
Karen, can you share where you're from and what you do?
Yes, thank you. My name is Karen Miller. I'm the sales director at Sunrise Senior Living of Wayne. And my community might be an example of a place that you would go when you've completed your subacute rehab with Yenal. we have a senior living community with both assisted living and memory care. As you might imagine, we have many residents with aphasia. And it's something that many have learned to work with. But mostly we want it to be a positive environment for seniors to be able to age in place. That's our goal.
Wow.
We can continue therapy. The therapy that you've started when you were in subacute rehab can be continued. So you can do physical therapy, occupational, you can have a visiting nurse there. But the goal is to provide a positive social environment for all of our residents.
That's so important. Socialization is so important for them. My mother-in-law, who her son and I are divorced, but her and I have really been strong connection our entire lives that we've known each other. And I'm okay with my children's father. We have a great relationship. Our kids are wonderful. We're blessed. But she had to be put into a home as well. And she was home. I forget what the word is, but she was by herself all the time because she couldn't drive. She was secluded.
And we've seen a lot of that in the last 2 years. If we've learned anything in this pandemic, it's that being isolated for seniors is not a good thing.
No. And she's dancing on the Facebook and she's, she wears these hats and she's doing yoga. So socialization is so important to bring back the life, to make them feel normal, to make them feel like this isn't such a drastic change. She didn't want to go. So we're blessed to have gotten her there. So she went, and most times, I don't know, I shouldn't say that most times, but with my mother-in-law, she actually went into the hospital again. And that's when we transferred her to the nursing home, because nursing home, the assisted living, because she, was like, okay, this is the next step, and she'll never be able to go home. But I don't think she's realizing that now. Now she just.
But you can also get the support there. So we want it to be a social environment, but we do have nursing in place. We have the care managers and med techs, and those people are all in place there to do the overseeing. But it should be a place where you live your life. We're not a clinical environment. Right.
That's perfect. Thank you so much, Andrea. So tell us, it's Adriana. Sorry. Adriana. So tell us what you do and where you're from.
So I just want to say it's a pleasure being here. It's a pleasure being on this panel with these great group of ladies and being part of the senior resource group, because we really are a very great group and we really do wonders in our community. So I work with Brightstar Care. I'm the director of sales and operations for Brightstar Care. We specialize in keeping seniors safely in their own home. We help with anything from skilled nursing to companionship to activities of daily living. Well, a lot of times we work closely with the rehab facilities to transition their loved ones back to the comfort of their own home, making sure that they're safe in their own home. So we do anything from skilled nursing to companionship services. We also go into assisted living facilities and help residents in assisted living facility remain safe in their apartment, being able to still have that socialization, but also making sure that they have the nursing visits that they need to be successful.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Right after we talk a little bit about aphasia and Bruce Willis, because I don't want to lose that topic, the next question I'm going to ask you is about, I know that we focus on the person that's moving in to the community, but I want to talk about the families. I want to talk about something that people don't realize, or until they're brought to that moment, how it affects the family and how you guys support the whole surrounding family, because that's what matters, because those are the people that realize what's going on, and they're the people that are affected, because the person that's going in to the assisted living or home or living at home it's traumatic to them, but I think it's just as traumatic to the entire family. So just so you can keep that in your mind. That's the next topic we're going to talk about. Well, let's talk about the aphasia. Karen, you had a lot of wonderful things to say about the aphasia in the Zoom green room, because you said that a lot of your memory care
both in memory care. Of course, we also have residents that are recovering from stroke, but it's something that I've been in senior care now about 12 years, and it's something that I didn't have a lot of experience with before senior care. But you start to realize that even those that maybe are in a later stage of an Alzheimer's diagnosis, they're still there. They just need a little bit more encouragement and patience to allow them to say what it is they have to say. So it has been a learning experience for me. And I agree with you that until this came out this week about Bruce Willis, most people did not know what aphasia was. So I agree that it's a good time to have this conversation. And it's a great thing that his family is doing, bringing it to light, because that's hard. I mean, that's got to be hard for them. It's hard for him too. But the more you can talk about it, the better we all are.
You know, I was saying to somebody the other day when we were talking about it is, I feel, and I guess that's why this conversation about family is really important, because when I went through my stroke, I don't really remember the effects that it had because I was in it, but when I talked to my family, they go, oh my God, they couldn't believe. And it was hard on them. It was so hard on them.
It is. And I see that all the time. It's a totally different perspective. The family, so many times the family comes to us about moving their loved one in, and they're in crisis. They have all this guilt that they feel like they're just pushing them off to somewhere because they can't deal with it anymore. But once they get there, they realize that they're putting them in the hands of professionals, experienced, tenured people who are there to help. Then they can have a normal relationship again. You can have a father-son relationship, a father-daughter relationship, a husband and wife relationship. You come and have lunch together, and it's not all about maintenance. It's about having that relationship again.
Quality relationships, quality over quantity, right? Is
exactly.
Good thought process. Quantity over quantity. Andrea, I'm sorry, I keep screwing up your name. Adriana, right? Adriana?
Yes, you got it.
I'll get it. Adriana. So Adriana, I saw you shaking your head while Karen was talking. What would you like to put into that conversation?
100% with Karen. I think right now we're in crisis mode. Unfortunately, a lot of times we get those, my mom just is in the hospital. We're not sure what the next step is. A lot of times they're contemplating even taking that step to go to rehab. They want to see if they can take her back home because they feel guilty. They sometimes feel it's their fault that mom's now in the hospital and she suffered from a stroke. Maybe they weren't monitoring her medications the way they should have been. But the nice part about that is that we're able to really guide them and help them navigate through the process. A lot of times they come to us, but we're not the best resource for them. A lot of times I tell them, maybe it's best to speak to Yenal and see if rehab's the next step. We'll go ahead and help transition her home from rehab, but it is that crisis mode. It's that guilt. It's that not knowing how to navigate through their feelings in that moment, and really giving them that reassurance that we're going to help them from start to finish, and really follow with them while they are in rehab. Hey, how's mom doing? How's everything going? It really makes that difference and makes them know that we work as a community to make sure that their loved ones are safe. It's not just individualized care. It's really a community of care.
Well, what about, what would you do? Like, they come to you before the patients or the person is been admitted.
Right.
What would you bring to the attention? What would be the words that you would use to educate people about how important it is to move into an assisted living? I had someone, she's on my board, that she initially said, no, never going in. My mother's never going to be going into a rehabilitation or a nursing home. And all of a sudden, I had her on her mother suffered a stroke. And I had both of them, brought them on the show with I don't know if anybody knows, Tracy Lawrence.
Yes.
She's a dear friend, and she just passed away. I don't know if you know that, but she just passed away recently. and I had them on the show, and Tracy brought such important information to the table. She didn't say you have to put it. She just said, like, it's something to think about. And by the end of the conversation and a show later, Kelly was bringing her mom into a nursing home. And it really is important to educate people. So how would you bring to their attention the importance and what the care that you can bring to them?
Well, with us, it's 24/7 nursing. We are at a higher level of care than, let's say, what Karen would do. And you want to start with the rehab right away, as I had mentioned. And you see the progression. Okay, sometimes the patient is not going to be appropriate for home setting or even, for an assisted living. But we let them know, sorry, I keep getting calls. We let them know that we're going to work with them, and we do work with the assisted livings, and we do work with Adriana and home care. We want what's going to be best for the family and for the resident. A lot of times residents will end up thriving in our environments. Okay, because like you had mentioned earlier, with the isolation at home, they're sitting there looking at four walls, whereas when they come to a community, there's so much activity going on, and there's so many other people that are, they develop lifelong friendships. And we let them know, if you want to take them out for lunch, you can. If you want to take them out, for a long weekend, for the holidays, you can absolutely do all of that. You can strengthen that bond, and there's no reason to feel guilty of the decisions you're making, because sometimes those decisions, as Karen had mentioned, those decisions are based on guilt, and you shouldn't be feeling that way. You are doing honestly what is best for your family member, and whether it's for, Karen, for assisted living or long-term care, you're doing the best for the family, and you can nurture the relationship and have it go back to what it was prior to this incident.
I have a question, though, about taking family members out for the day. Is it hard to get them back? Is it emotional for them to leave, your community and then have to come back? I remember when I've sang for many of your places, your communities, and I would walk in and they're kind of like, sad, because they're lonely. And and then I would see family members come in and leave, and it just brought them more sadness. So I'm just curious, is it hard to navigate the transition between going out with your family on Easter, or Passover, or for a birthday party, and to be able to bring them back and drop them off?
I would say no, because it becomes their home. This is now their home, their friendships, their partners in the community. A lot of times, I've never seen somebody upset, about coming home after going out for, let's say, Christmas Day or something like that, because this is now their home, and this is where they're comfortable. They know, they know the staff, they know their roommate, they know their friends, in the dining room. This is now home to them.
I find the same. And I find that families, because they try to fit so much in to that day or that weekend, they come back and they're exhausted. They're like, oh, I'm so glad to be home where I have, people helping me with everything, because I was with my family and I love my family, but I'm exhausted.
It's exhausting.
So. It is.
And that's why it's so important to have the right staff,
Absolutely.
to have staff that understands and they're empathetic, and they can read people, what they need at that particular moment, especially somebody who's been, going through other things, whether it's emotionally or whether it's health wise, it's so important in life to have empathy for people. So I totally agree with you guys.
They become family. The residents and the staff really truly become family. You're seeing this person every single day, for whatever, let's say 8 to 10 hours. You really do become family.
That's good.
I think, Renee, I think you would agree, Karen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I spend more time with the residents in my building than I do with my own family. So
good.
There's that.
Adriana, now, during this pandemic, and talking about needing socialization, that Karen and Yenal's locations bring to them. How did you navigate through that pandemic time? Because it was challenging. It was challenging. And we were talking about the loneliness. And I want to share something before I get into that I didn't mean that they were lonely because they were in these facilities, but it's natural to be, sitting and to feel lonely. I mean, when we're by ourselves at home, we start to think, and you have to be able to change that. So I didn't want to put any negative tones on your facilities, because I said that they were sad. They're naturally sad at that particular time. So I just want to make sure I bring that to everybody's attention. But how did you navigate through that?
So luckily for us, they're already used to being in their own home. So we already had things into play. It's really getting to understand what the client's likes and dislikes are. It's really doing more personable activities with the clients. A lot of times they are in their own home. So it's doing projects around the house. It's maybe gardening. It's really pulling old picture albums out and having the client go through. We had one of our aides pull old pictures albums out from the client's basement, and they sat there and they wrote a scrapbook for her family. And it was like just a little paragraph about each picture, what year it was taken. And now as mom continues to decline, unfortunately, they have that scrapbook with her words for each member who holds close to those pictures. So it's really getting to know your client and really making them understand that this is your home. We're going to make it as fun and as comfortable, but as safe as possible as well.
And what area do you navigate into, Adriana? Like, what's your area?
So Passaic County, parts of Bergen County, and even up into Essex County as well.
Okay. And I know Yenal's in Haskell and Karen's in Wayne. Am I correct?
Correct.
So we're mostly in the general area together. So that's why Diane's program works for everybody, because everybody's in the general area. So let's talk about the families. Okay. Let's talk about the topic that I was mentioning before of how important it is to educate families, and would you, and another thing is, would you recommend families to educate it before they need it? Karen, touch on base on that.
No, it's interesting because it really depends on the point at which they come to you. I have people that have reached out to me as long as 2 years ago, and I'm still talking to them about when is the right time to move their parent. Generally, these are folks with memory care issues. But it's really the most difficult family to navigate is like 5 or 6 adult children, all with differing opinions. Like my favorite family is the only child, because you only have to meet their needs. Trying to meet the needs of 5 or 6 different adult children that may be very different needs, that's challenging. But in the end, they need to all come to agreement on what they think is best for their parent. And sometimes it really is about who's going to take control of that situation. It's a difficult thing for an adult child to turn around and be the parent to their parent. And that's basically what we're asking them to do. You have to take control of this situation, because the way they're living now, it's just not safe. They're in a house that is 3 stories. None of those stories have everything on it that they need so that they can stay on one floor. So stairs are always going to be a problem. So if there's going to be a change made, the family needs to really come together first.
Yeah, I agree. It's a hard decision. It's a hard decision. It's a hard decision. What would you say about families and how you navigate around sharing with families the importance of?
Well, I do a lot of things in the community. I go to the senior communities, and along with the senior resource group, we're trying to educate them prior to needing us. Okay. Right. Because the more you're educated, the better decision you're going to be able to make. So we do educate them in the community, whether it's in the senior community or, adult children in the workforce. We want somebody who's educated is better able to make the correct decisions for the family. And I agree with Karen, when you have 5 adult children, they're not going to come to an agreement. It is very difficult. But if they're educated prior to needing us, they're going to be able to make the decision, prior to getting to that point, prior to the hospitalization or, mom having a heart attack or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just educating them before they start to need us.
Do you try to reach out to the families of those seniors though, as well? I'm just curious.
If we happen to see them, because a lot of times I do a lot of things, like I said, in the senior housing, and a lot of times the children are there. So when they are there, they participate in any of the activities that we do, and that's when we can educate them. And one of the other things that, Diana's looking at is we're doing health fairs in the communities and in the workforce of where these adult children, work. We're bringing our resources to them directly in their workspace to educate them.
That's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
So, Adriana, what do you do like with families? Like, how do you navigate around families and how do you handle families?
It's really understanding what it is that they're looking for and being empathetic to their situation. I think a lot of times just letting them know that we're available 24/7. I have families sometimes call me at 7:00 at night and it's 5 grandchildren on the phone. They all have questions and they all want to know what it is that they can expect from an agency like ours. And it's really going above and beyond for those individuals to make them feel like their voices are being heard, because at the end of the day, they just are advocating for their loved one. And it's really special to be a part of that process.
It is. If you really have a purpose in life, all 3 of you, and your purpose is really to just have empathy and to really love people. And life can change in one split second. I really, that's one of the things that I always try to help people to understand, because at 26, when I had my stroke, nobody thought I'd have a stroke at 26. And nobody thought that they would have to be in that world with my family. So I hope that people would understand that it's not only seniors that need your locations. Do you have many young people in your, Yenal and Karen, have you trafficked many young people through your communities?
We've had, well, for me, I've had from, I want to say maybe 28 up to like 99, 100.
Wow.
It just depends on what life incident happened that you're going to need our service. We've had, it could be a wound, it could be a fall, it's unfortunate, but it could be anything that would cause you to need the rehab to get back to your prior level of function.
Wow, that's awesome.
We've had the same situation. I know there are some assisted livings that have a minimum age of 60, maybe 65, but
really?
not at Sunrise. We've had residents as young as their late 40s, because as you well know, you can have a stroke when you're younger too. They may not live out their lives there, but we are month to month where I am. So you can be there for 6 months, a year, and move back home again if that's what's best for you.
Wow.
So I think it's important that not only we recognize that these things, of course, they happen more often in seniors, but that it does happen younger too. And we want to be a supportive community for anyone who needs it.
Wow. Adriana, do you guys service young families as well?
We do. Our youngest patient is 3 months currently, unfortunately, and our oldest is 106. So we don't minimum. We do pediatrics up to geriatric care.
Wow, that's incredible. So let's talk about socialization, because we were touching on that before. Tell us a little bit about the social life that you guys provide, because as we were saying before, it is so important, and that's always why I wanted to have a telethon. We're doing our 8th telethon this year. I think Jim has been involved with 4 of them or 5 of them. I forget how many. But I always loved the concept that Jerry Lewis had, right? To entertain people. That's why we're doing the night talent show in Wayne at the Wayne YMCA on June 9th, because you got to lift people. They want to enjoy their lives. Life is difficult enough. So let's talk about the enjoyment, the entertainment that you guys bring to them. Let's lift the spirits a little bit. Go ahead, you first.
Sure, I'll start. Our activities are all day, and we don't stop. A lot of places will stop at, let's say, 5 o'clock. We do have evening activities because, after dinner, you don't want to just be sitting there watching TV or, playing cards with somebody. You want other activities going on. We have entertainers coming in, whether it's a DJ, exercise, Zumba, chair Zumba, things like that. But we have activities throughout the day. And, we do understand, our activities people are wonderful. They understand somebody when they first come in is a little hesitant about joining in. They continue to encourage them. They ask them, well, what was your life like before? What did you enjoy? They want to be able to bring out what they enjoyed in the past and have them participate now. They're not going to just leave them in the room to do nothing. They want to continue to have them interact with the rest of the residents because, loneliness is very hard. And we don't want them, like I said, in their room doing nothing. So whether it's bingo, whether it's, like I said, a DJ coming in for a Valentine's Day and getting everybody going. And we all know music gets everybody up, whether it's you're tapping your foot or, clapping or, that's another form of entertainment. But and bingo, of course, everybody loves bingo.
Gotta have bingo.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Oh, yes. Without bingo, nobody. But, and we have a calendar actually that she prints and puts up and gives out to everybody as well. And activities, like I said, are from morning till the evening.
Wow,
after
awesome.
dinner,
That's awesome. And what I love is when I've entertained on holidays or in the evenings or Saturday and Sunday, because then the families can come and enjoy the moments with their family member, right? They're not just coming and figuring out what they're going to do or taking a stroll outside. They're really enjoying the event. So it really is a prime thing for people to experience that together. It's really,
and that's been something that we've really encouraged.
Say it again.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you there.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I just want
I was saying, it gives the family member time to see, because like we said earlier, the family member may still feel guilty, but when they're seeing them, their mother or their father enjoying themselves and participating, it alleviates a little bit of that guilt that they may be feeling.
Yes. Yeah. And it really lifts them up because with my mother-in-law,
Yes.
like I said, she's on social media now. Like, she's, that's another thing, like you can, to post it because, and I know there's legalities involved, but, if you sign off that somebody can, their photo can be out there, or maybe you just to send a clip to somebody, it really it really brings joy to them. So we totally agree. Karen, what did you want to say?
Well, so what I was saying was that we feel the same way as Yenal's community does about activities. So, of course, we serve 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and there are always activities running in between. We have everything from residents who are a little more introverted and prefer to be in their room and reading, but we do still encourage them to come out for dining, come for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because even just being out and social for 3 meals a day is important.
Yeah.
But we have residents also who come out for breakfast at 7:30 in the morning and don't go back to their room until 6 o'clock at night after dinner. Yeah. So we want to recognize everyone's individuality. We're fortunate that we're a smaller community. So when we have a new resident who comes in, the first thing our activities coordinator wants to know is, what do you enjoy? What do you want to bring to this? What do you want to see us do? And there's always someone who plays the piano and we start a new, choir. Maybe there's someone who has a special talent in art. So we start an art class. So everybody brings something to the table and we try to encourage that.
That's so good. That's important to ask them what they like so they don't have to transition into your world. You're transitioning into theirs.
And it's funny because, we talked about the adult children and how often they're in crisis, and every time I've asked an adult child, well, what did your mom like to do? I don't know. She was a mom. Well, what did your dad do? What were his hobbies? Oh, no, dad just worked all the time. So, you're talking to someone now about what they remember from childhood. So you really need to be speaking to the resident and find out what is it they like. And that's what our activities coordinator is excellent at.
But that's also an important point for me and for, other children to learn that they really should try to find out a little bit about their parents. So as they navigate through those, the golden years, that they'll be able to answer those questions.
Right.
My kids know pretty much everything about me. So I'm blessed. They know what I like.
It's a different generation now. It's
Mhm.
completely different
Yeah.
when you're dealing with someone in their late 80s and 90s. Like the kids are like, yeah, I don't know. She was a great mom.
Yeah.
Like she had no other life than
Yeah.
waiting on you.
Yeah. That's so. Andrea, what kind of entertainment do you navigate? What socialization do you bring to the table?
So similar to the other ladies, we like to get to know our clients on a personal basis. So part of our assessment is really going to get to know, how many kids do you have? How many grandkids? What are your hobbies? What did you do in the past? What did you do, in your past career life? And it's what foods does mom like? Does she like to bake? Does she like to cook? A lot of times we're coming into so it's really hard for them to accept another person cooking for them. So it's really getting them to be engaging. Engagement basically is our big thing, having them help, whether it's meal prepping, baking. A lot of our clients live in assisted living facilities. So we are the ones encouraging them to go to an activity. Let's go together. You're not going to be alone. I'll stay there with you. Let's go to Zumba. I'll do Zumba with you. So it's really just getting them active, even if it's just going outside for a walk on a nice day.
Wow, it's incredible. So I know you're not going to believe this, but we've been doing this for 15 minutes approximately. So I do want to give you all the opportunity to really talk about like what navigated your heart into working to do this work. And so Karen, what brought you to do what you do? I think it's wonderful to hear what you do on a business level, but what navigated you to get into this world to help people? What brought you to that?
It's interesting because I never really thought about it until I was already several years into it. But I grew up with my great grandmother living in our house. And when her health declined to a point where she had to be in a clinical environment, she had to move to a nursing home. I guess at that time I was maybe 10 or 11 years old. I was heartbroken. This was my family you were taking away. A few years later, my grandparents, who I was very close with, retired to Florida. Little by little, all the seniors in my life were going away. I went on. I've been in sales and marketing my entire career in everything from manufacturing to optical. So a lot of different areas of sales. But I had a friend who had a home care agency, and he was looking for someone who could do some office work and at the same time do some outside sales. I was very unhappy where I was. So I started working in a private agency, and I just loved it. It's like a light just went on. I loved working with these people. It seemed to me that there are too many seniors that don't have anyone to advocate for them. We had many clients who were well into their 90s. None of their adult children lived in state. We had folks who didn't have any adult children. So there was no one to advocate for them. There was just us. So that to me was, I finally felt like I had found what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, those people that don't have anybody, like, how do you get their information? Like, because I know families would call, to find out, but how do you find those that needs help, that need people?
Well, generally the family would reach out to us, and it's the same situation at Sunrise because we have, and it's certainly been made easier by all the virtual ability now that we weren't using to its best potential before the pandemic. But we have families reach out to us. In Sunrise's case, it's a lot based on our reputation in the industry. But families from out of state will reach out to us. It was the same when I was in private care. A family called us because they were looking for someone to, watch over Aunt Mary because she's got no one to help her. So, it surprised me how many seniors had no one to advocate for them at all, except, a distant nephew in California. So it's really heartbreaking to see that the people that we should be caring for don't really have that voice.
Yeah. I mean, they were, they're why we're here,
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't be here if that generation wasn't here. So
Exactly.
it's important for us to have empathy and compassion and love for that generation as well as for the young generation. So it's awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. What drew you into this world? And I will tell you that I performed and I've been at both of your locations, and they're absolutely beautiful. And I recommend highly that people look into if they're, looking for a place. So,
Thank you, Renee. Actually, I started out in fashion and in sales my whole life until my dad had a stroke. And it was after his stroke and, what I had seen and all of the misinformation that we were given and all of the, stumbling blocks that occurred for us. That was what made me go into nursing, and then from nursing into, admissions and into marketing. I want to help people. I want to educate them. A lot of people don't know about Medicare. They don't know about Medicaid. They don't know, what covers for what. So
Right.
A lot of times when I get those calls, the first thing I do is ask them. And I try to educate them because, if it wasn't for the Medicaid specialist, when my dad had his stroke and, we were not aware, we had to go through his entire life savings because we were not educated.
Wow.
So I want to educate them and teach them and help them as much as I can. And, we will put them in touch with different people that can, help them get to the point that they need to.
Yeah.
But it was unfortunate, but it was, something that happened to me personally and to a family member that got me into this. And I'll be honest, I can't see myself doing anything else. I love to be able to help the families, educate them in the community, because it's unfortunate, but a lot of people don't know what is available to them.
Yeah. And the sad thing is when people wait to have to utilize, to get involved. I always say that people should educate themselves prior. We were talking about that before, to educate them prior to needing it. Just get that tool belt in your belt so that you can learn a little bit. It doesn't mean that something's going to happen. You just need to educate yourself on that.
That's it.
So yeah. So before I forget, Jim will agree with me in the Long Island. Judy will be saying, I'll be calling you about your family stroke. I want to be Judy. I just want to be Judy right now. I'll be calling you. You'll be on a different show. That's what Judy. She's a great marketer. Judy is like the best, and she hears something and she's like, "Oh, I'm writing that down." And I would say to her, "Judy, writing it down." And she'd be like this, "Yes, I'm writing it down already, Renee. I just want to let everybody know." So be prepared to hear from Judy once she watches this show.
Looking forward to it.
So, Andrea, right? I'm saying it right, Andrea. So how did you navigate into this world? And I got to tell you, I just can't believe that, how incredible you all are, and how your whole heart and souls are into what you do. And, and it's proof that on a Sunday morning when you should be with your families, resting, you're still working and still willing to take part in a show. So we're so blessed to have all of you here. Andrea, what navigated you into this world?
So my little brother was diagnosed very little with a rare disease. So I always educated myself. I always knew I wanted to give back. I always knew I wanted nurse. So right out of high school, I went to nursing school, graduated nursing school. Then I ended up working in a rehab facility, and then I ended up working in in-home care. And I've been in in-home care for about 15 years now. And I really love being able to help those families transition through the process, whether it's with an agency like ours or with one of the other entities that the other ladies offer. It's really giving back to the community, and really seeing you make a difference to that family is speechless. Like it's the world.
Yeah, it's a high. It's a high, and you have to go through so much. I mean, you have to be able to feel what the family's feeling, but we need you as the backbone to be able to feel and to understand each situation, and to really take that and really process it and think about what the next step for that family would be. I love the fact, before I forget who it was, it said that you would send them to another place because it wasn't the right place for them. And even in our jobs, we educate yourselves on other locations that have better qualities for that specific person. And to be able to share that with somebody is really a gift. I think this would be the best place for you. My granddaughter, she's 14 months old, and she suffers from seizures, which is, it was hard for us. But the other day she had a seizure in Waldwick, and they were supposed to bring her to Valley. But the doctor at Valley said, no, her doctors are at Hackensack. Bring her directly to Hackensack. So I thought that was a prime, like, let's take care of the person. Let's take care of the child. Let's not worry about business. Business will follow. Business will take care of itself. I really believe that when you do the right thing in one avenue, another one, tenfold will come in. We just got to do the right thing because we care about people. So I'm so blessed to have the three of you as the guests today. I want to give you the opportunity before we go to really share once again how they can reach you, what you do, and if there's anything else that you would like to bring to light. Andrea?
So again, I work for Brightstar Care of Wayne and Fairlawn. We're open 24/7, so they can always call and ask for me directly. We're always available to answer any questions, whether it's, I'm not sure where my mom's at in this stage, I'm not sure what the next step is. We have a nurse on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week as well. So if they need any clinical direction, she's always available as well. But they can reach us at just Googling Brightstar Care of Wayne and Fairlawn.
Good. Thank you so much.
They can call Lakeland Healthcare, and as Adriana said, nursing is 24/7. We are available 24/7, and it's not just a phrase. We truly mean it. Between Shannon and myself, Shannon is my admissions director. We are available to families, the hospitals 24/7. We get calls all the time, and you can call the facility, Lakeland Healthcare, or, I think you have our contact information, Renee, on here.
Yep.
So they can reach out to us anytime with any questions they may have.
Yep. And if anybody has any questions, you can always reach me, and I'd be more than happy to, send your.
And thank you, Renee, so much for putting this together. I think it's wonderful that, we're all able to give our experiences, and how we can help the community.
Yeah. And just, it puts a personality to a name in the face. Like, they were telling us it's almost like
It's the Oscars.
The Oscars. That's enough talking. You're gonna go.
I'm so sorry. I was just setting it up and it just started playing. I'm sorry.
Funny, Jim. So so it puts a personality to a face. Like I know that if I was watching this show, I would actually note it in my book. Like, okay, if I ever need information, like, you guys are the ones I would call. And even in other states and stuff, it's all about just sharing with information and really helping people. The Medicare and Medicaid world is a whole that changes every single moment of every single day. That's a whole. We've had many shows on that, and that's just crazy. But yeah, so we're blessed to have you all on the show. Karen, you could give your information and your last words.
Okay, so you can reach out to us at sunrisewayne.com. So on our website, you can take a virtual tour of our home. You can see our activity calendar. You can see our menu for the month. But yeah, we're like the other ladies, we are open 24/7. So please reach out. We'd be happy to show you around.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. We want to once again give thanks to Diane Bromberg from the Senior Resource Group. Don't forget, we're doing the night show, the talent night show on June 9th at the health fair begins at 6 o'clock. We're starting the show at 7. Jim will be streaming it from Long Island so everybody can view it. We're going to start to send out information as to where to log on. So we're really excited about it. We want to once again give our thanks and gratitude to Bruce Willis's family. And families are really important. Families are really important, and I love the fact that the family made the announcement. And that just shows him support, shows everybody support, and we look forward to understanding what brought Bruce Willis's aphasia to light, to what caused his aphasia, because that'll just add more in-depth conversation about what things you need to look at and things you need to know, and just really important. But for now, we're so grateful to Bruce, for his family, for bringing the aphasia to light, and to the Adler's Aphasia Center in Maywood, New Jersey. They do an incredible job. So if anybody has aphasia and you need, it's actually just a day thing where you go and they help you to navigate, and they make you feel worthy. Like I was saying before, it took me time to peel back that onion for trust. And when I walked in those doors, not as a patient, but as an entertainer, as a person who had suffered a stroke, it really did bring warmth to me. It was so welcoming. And Elaine Adler actually walked me around the area. And that's when the light bulb for a telethon went off in my brain. And I'm saying we have to educate people. We have to educate people. So we're so blessed. And we're doing our 8th telethon on October 2nd. Sunday, October 2nd. So Jim will be broadcasting that too. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. We're honestly blessed to have had the opportunity to share. And I'm not going to say goodbye, because we're going to continue to work together, and we'll bring education to people. And make sure you wait for Judy to contact you. Right, Jim? Judy would be like, yes. Thank you so much. On 3, I always blow kisses. If everybody wants to join me, 1, 2, 3. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.